Wenstrup, chairman of the House COVID Origin Subcommittee, with me now. And sir, good morning to you. It was interesting. I've got a few pointed questions. Number one, was any of this policy criminal, do you believe?
Well, everyone's asking me that question, and that remains to be seen. We're going to have to really review all the things that Dr. Fauci has said, and then what he has said in transcribed interviews, and what he has said yesterday, and what are the actual regulations and rules, and is there criminal liability within the agency? Because I think that's one of the problems that we have, Bill, is that no matter what you do wrong within your agency or people under you within your agency, there isn't necessarily a criminal liability unless you lie under oath. But we saw people that were violating FOIA intentionally to violate the law with official documents. I think that's criminal. Now the question is Dr. Fauci involved with that as well, and we've asked for his Gmails.
Okay, so there's going to be another story on this. Another question. Did U.S. taxpayers help fund the lab in Wuhan, China? Yes or no?
Without a doubt. And what's even worse is the process that took place. Dr. Fauci signs the grants that went towards that, and he says it's just comes from an advisory board, and he signs it. He doesn't even know what the grants are for. He said, we have so many millions of dollars going out in grants, I can't keep track of that stuff, so I just sign them. There's no effort on the NIH or NIAID side to monitor compliance, and the compliance was not held when it came to the rules of the grant with Dr. Daszak. He wasn't filing his reports. There were so many things wrong, and Dr. Fauci seems to have no accountability towards any of this. When I sign a prescription bill, that prescription's on me, and I'm responsible for it, but apparently not Dr. Fauci.
I get it. He seemed to downplay the lab leak theory. I mean, just generally speaking, do you agree with that, yes or no?
Well, you know what's interesting is what he says now is that, yeah, that could have happened, but you go back in time, here they were in their internal documents that we were able to get a hold of saying, yeah, this looks engineered, this likely came from the lab, but then they came out and he goes on the White House lawn and says it came from nature. So he never addressed the possibility of it being coming from the lab or created in the lab. He only went with nature, but now he says, oh, I was always open to it. Well, he wasn't. He called it conspiracy theory, and we brought that out in many occasions yesterday.
I think that's an important distinction. And you think about the early days of COVID, especially, all the media were running to Fauci to get his view on this. Question for you, did he screw this up?
I would say in many ways that part of the problem that we had is there was just a lack of clarity across the board. You know, when you come out and you say that everything I'm telling you is based on science, and then we find out, he says later, the 6-foot rule, that just sort of appeared. And now he's blaming that on the CDC. When he talks about the masking, well, there was no science behind that. He didn't say that when he addressed America. And he didn't say that it possibly came from a lab when he was talking about it coming from nature. Right, so yeah, and a lot of people have been harmed by the decisions that have been made.
I want to squeeze in. This is Dr. Rich McCormick. He's a Republican from Georgia. He's the one asking these questions. There's an audio clip that's played with a journalist who's doing an interview with Fauci from a couple years ago. Watch here.
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bull and they get vaccinated.
Thank you. Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bull, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and that's not what I was referring to.
Well, in reference to making it hard for people to get education, traveling, working, I'd say it very much was in context. And I take great offense to this.
I don't know how you heard that, but I just want to go back to the opening line there. Fauci says when you make it difficult for people in their lives, there is no question in hindsight. This was a difficult way to live for everyone. How did you hear that?
Same as you did, Bill. There's no doubt about it. And not only that, what he wanted was to be able to mandate people getting the vaccine. He clearly wanted that. He was for that. And let me just say something about that. While people were being mandated to get the vaccine, we have people coming across our border by the thousands, unvaccinated, not only unvaccinated for COVID, COVID-19, but unvaccinated for all the things that we were vaccinated as children. And now these kids are in our schools, and you're seeing a rise in other things. But I will tell you this, Dr. McCormick, I wanted him on the committee because he was the only one of us that was actually out treating COVID patients during COVID. He's a freshman member of Congress. He was in the thick of it, and I thought it was important that we have him on there, and that proved it yesterday.
From one doctor to another, Dr. Brad Wenstrup, thank you for your time today. We'll see what you can get next, okay? Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.